Alright, so check this out. SR9009. What is this stuff and how is it applicable to anabolic substances? How does it pertain to those who wish to research the anabolic aspect of research chemicals? Well, this is what we found out thus far, is in studies it has been proven to improve stamina. It is what most original studies were based on SR9009. It was deemed exercise in a bottle because it speeds up cellular reproduction. And what that means is it speeds up our circadian clock in the muscle, the liver, and the bones. What that's going to do is it's going to heal bone more quickly, recover muscles faster, and build osteoclast and osteoblast processes, which means to build bone mineral density, which would be someone with osteoporosis, osteopenia, things like that. Now, if we're rebuilding bone, muscle, and the liver at a faster pace, this means the metabolism increases. Your liver is that filter that filters everything through it. So if it rebuilds more quickly and is more efficient at the process of processing food through the filter, that means you get more of the nutrients and everything flows better. If the muscle is rebuilding more quickly, that means that the metabolism is moving at a faster pace. Weight loss, all right, or fat loss and muscle building will have to happen simultaneously for this process to work. If the diet and exercise do not change, it should still increase muscle mass and reduce body fat. That's why they called it exercise in a bottle. It preserves lean muscle mass in caloric deficits, meaning when someone is dieting, it is going to preserve their muscle even though they don't have as many calories that they would need to normally function. That means it's forcing the body to burn calories out of a fat cell in a caloric deficit instead of eating away at the muscle. Improves cardiovascular health. Now, it does this, which is kind of weird, not only by giving endurance, but it also helps to reduce the size of lesions in the vessels and reduces LDL cholesterol. This could be really important, especially, let's say someone were experimenting with like an LGD4033 and they did not want their lipid levels or their LDL, sticky cholesterol, to go up to please their doctor, which, I mean, honestly, there's nothing wrong with having sticky cholesterol provided you do not have cracked and bleeding arterial walls. It will never cause heart disease. That's a whole nother video. May aid in anxiety reduction. Now, the reasoning behind that part to me has to be that whenever the body is functioning at a higher pace and can recover more quickly, it is not stressed, and therefore less stress means less anxiety. It also helps with things like inflammation. Now, this isn't just the inflammation in the muscle. This is a systemic inflammatory response, which means faster recovery. Less inflammation in the arterial walls means less heart disease. It means less atherosclerosis, less hardening of the arteries, less blood pressure issues, things like that. You're going to cleanse and detox more quickly because of faster cellular reproduction. Now, let's talk about dosage ranges. Now, of course, there have been those studies on humans. Well, yes, there have. There haven't been any conclusive data for long-term use of this product in a human. They are now saying that they need to break it down so that it's more selective and not so systemic. And in my opinion, that's simply because it works so well in so many different places in the body. It would replace so many drugs that they'll never get it passed through the FDA, because God knows we wouldn't want to heal multiple diseases at once, much less reverse them, because that would be an atrocity that the medical profession or the pharmaceutical industry would actually cure a disease, which they haven't done in the last 60 freaking years. We wouldn't want to start that process now, would we? Seriously, they kill 210,000 Americans a year. Put it in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Publish it. Nobody says a word about it. Number 4 biggest killer in the United States is your doctor and prescription drugs, my friend. But you don't hear nothing about that, do you? So, dosage ranges for research purposes only, not for humans unless you are in a clinical trial and your doctor approves it. In research, though, here's how it'll work. If you had a 200-pound lab rat, 15 to 30 milligrams is going to be your max dosage range that they have studied in comparison to, let's say, rat models, if you consider metabolism, weight, and milligrams per kilogram of weight, okay? So what we're looking at is there have been researchers, there have been bodybuilders that have done this in much higher doses than that. That's not recommended for, well, reasons that people can't take it anyway. But if you got a 200-pound lab rat, 15 milligrams to start with, 2 to 3 times a day, and can go up to 30. The reason you have to, that it's recommended multiple times a day, is when injected, SR9009 will last right at 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the research subject. When ingested orally, the amount that is going to be absorbed is only about 20 to 23%, but you only get about 70% of your food anyway. But that's the absorption rate when taken orally or administered orally to your research animal. What that means is 15 milligrams, that's all accounted for in 15 to 30 milligrams, by the way. So, and what that means too is there's a slower process for the breaking down and absorption of the product. And if there's any problems in the liver, it's going to start there. That's where your LDL is produced. That's where your cholesterol issues start. That's where, so anything wrong with the liver, if you've eaten processed foods, like, I don't know, ever, then you have liver issues. So it's going to start there. If you've been intermittent fasting and watching what you eat, then you may not have liver issues like me whenever I first started this, or I did. My research animal, who's about 210 pounds, he actually gained 8 pounds of muscle and lost 1% body fat in the first 12 days. So that's possible, but that would mean that your liver, and he had been intermittent fasting, he didn't change anything whenever he got on the product, but he was intermittent fasting and his liver was cleaned up really well whenever he did that. Now, research chemicals are not for human consumption. They're not to be eaten, they're not to be snorted, they're not to be banged, they're not to be insulflated, they are not to be used as procreation aids, they're not to be given to your mother-in-law, they're not covered by Geico. So a good idea. Now, the thing about this product and toxicity is there is a chance that because cellular reproduction goes up, that means cellular death would also happen more quickly, which means you get rid of old bad cells, build new good ones. But that detox process could essentially, my hypothesis, possibly cause kidney issues if the research animal is not hydrated. More hydration, more fluidity means more detoxification, easier, faster, be gone. So one would want to make sure that they were drinking a half ounce of water per pound of body weight per day for the research animal. Now, none of this has been approved by the FDA. It's not for human consumption. You shouldn't touch it, gaze at it too long, and you should take everything I say as comedy. Honestly, I'm just a redneck from Alabama. Now, things that one could do to offset any possible effects of SR9009 would be like MSM plus C, which that has not been evaluated by the FDA. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any disease. The only thing that we guarantee is what's on that label is in that bottle. So that's all I could imagine one would need to offset any possible side effects. There's no need in post-cycle therapies like regaining hormones, because this does not hit a hormone receptor. It simply speeds up cellular reproduction. It basically takes one back to when they were like 18 years old, and cellular reproduction happened faster, therefore healing happened faster, therefore you felt better and everything went well. You're looking at a 6-week cycle for your research animal to get the full results. Wouldn't recommend going longer than that without at least a short break, maybe a week or two, for research purposes. But as blood work is done in your research and you do your testing, you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, I hope that helps out. Y'all be the best you can be in everything that you do. Remember, life is whatever you make it. If you make things important, they're important. If you make them not important, they're not important. If muscle building is important to some research animal, then this stuff might actually be very beneficial. But in a free society, you have to take responsibility for everything that you do. And remember that research chemicals are not for human consumption, and they cause bodily harm if misused or used at all. Appreciate y'all. Love you. Peace.